Hi, how's it going everyone? Welcome to another React Native tutorial. This video is the first part of my React Native and Supabase series. Throughout this series, we'll be developing a to-do list application and we'll be using Supabase's open source database to store our to-do items. So I'll begin by giving you an overview of Supabase and the application that we'll be developing throughout this series. And later in this video, we'll set up our application and database. So let's get started. If you're not familiar with Supabase, it is basically an open source alternative to Firebase. Like Firebase, Supabase offers storage, authentication, and database services. To get started, head over to supabase.com and sign in with your GitHub account. Now, once you're signed in, let's go ahead and create a new project. You'll be required to create a new organization, so let's first do that. And then give your organization a name. So in my case, my organization will just be Joey's org. Then go ahead and create organization. And then we can go ahead and create our new project under this organization that we just created. We'll give our project a name. Let's call it Supabase Test. And then our database, we'll also need to generate a password for that. Let me go ahead and copy this. And then you can also choose your pricing plan. For the sake of this tutorial, I'll stick to the free plan and then create new project. So our project is being set up. Let's just give it a moment until everything is complete. Cool. Now that everything has been set up, come over to your left section here where we have our menu options and click on Table Editor. So in this section, you'll see a list of all the databases that you have. So if we switch the schema here to auth, we'll see our authentication tables. So we have a users table, which will list all the users that sign up for our application using our Supabase authentication service. And then you also have a handful of other schemas here. So let's just switch back to public. So before we go ahead and create a new table, let me give you an overview of the to-do list application that we'll be developing. So this is the simple application that we'll be developing throughout the series. We're simply going to add list items here, and then we're going to store these on our Supabase database. And every time a user checks an item here, we'll just mark it in the database as completed. So let's head back to Supabase. Let's go ahead and create a new table. We'll call this table items. We'll give it a description, items, table. And then here under columns, this will be the columns for our table. So we have an ID and the created at. And then let's just add another column here. We'll call it, let's call it description. And this will be text. And then let's add another column here. We'll call it completed. And this will be a Boolean value. There we go. Let's just head back to our application here. What else will we need? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this table. Nothing too complicated. And let's click save. So we have our table created here, and within this dashboard, we can also insert our items. So we can create to-do items here. Let's just copy the ones that we have here. Description will be grocery shopping, and then completed will be false. Click save. And then let's go ahead and add more rows. We'll go again, copy these items. And then we'll mark this one as completed. And let's add one more. Now, if we scroll all the way down here under API, so under API, we get this option here for our tables and views. Click on items. So here on items, as you can see on the right side here, we already have the code written out for us. So once we set up Supabase in our React Native application, what we can do is simply copy this code wherever we need it. And that's how we can read and write data to our database. And while you're here, what you also can do is switch to Bash here and then open up your Postman. Now in Postman, let's add a new collection. We'll call it Supabase tutorial. And then in here, let's add a new request. We'll call it get items. So now what we can do here is that we can copy this link here. And then we can use this to get our items in Postman. And then in headers, we're just going to have to add our API key in our authorization token. So let's go ahead and copy that. And to get our API key, just come under settings and then click on API, and then we'll go ahead and copy this key. We'll paste it in there, and then just heading back to the API section. Switching over to Bash and items. We'll just add our authorization header as well there, and then copy the API key. Cool. And then when you click send, you should get all your items being returned to you. So that's how you can go about retrieving data in Postman. You can also use this to push data or add new records to your database. But for the sake of this tutorial, we'll be using the JavaScript library to push and read data in our application. Cool. So now that we have our database set up, let's go ahead and set up our React Native application. So I'll just set up a new React Native application. npx React Native init. And then we'll give our project a name. And then we'll just give this a moment to complete the setup.